Welcome to Planning Face Syndicate. This is our Star Wars X-Wing podcast. Yes, we have an X-Wing. We have an unlimited podcast. We have all the podcasts. This is what we originally had back when X-Wing was in its heyday. And we have slowly but surely added on other games. Tonight, the XWA has given some spoilers via Nick Carey, as well as Greg's Nickel City stream for some Scum standard loadout cards. We thought we'd go through them. Want to talk a little bit about them. Kind of excited. JJ's a little more excited than I am, but we'll get to that here in a few minutes. All right. Joining me on the mic tonight is my good friend, JJ. Harry JJ, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right. I just finished the Nickel City Draft League player draft. Had a ton of fun forming my team, the Star Killers, of which, believe it or not, I'm joined here tonight by my number 4 pick, Mr. Chris Tanner, flying the Republic for the Star Killers. So he's going to get some reps in, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I won't get to play any of the new standard loadout cards, but hey, at least I get to play something I know I get. I was a little disappointed. I will say I'm a little disappointed we don't have Falcons. I was a Falcon last season, and that was super fun. I'll be honest, that was fun. Like I had a lot of fun actually flying whatever the hell I want. And I'm a little sad you didn't get Tecumseh on our team because, man, he's like the one person. Like he could just give me a list and I could play it, and then I don't know, I would win with it, and then he would be like, "See, look at that, Tanner wins with every list I give him." And seriously, like all of my wins except for one were with his list.
I know. I actually tried to trade to get him earlier in the draft, right before the draft, but I just couldn't get it through. And then he was taking 2 picks right before me, my turn, and I was like, "Oh man, I really wanted Charlie, man. He's so good."
But that's all right. We'll have a good season. It'll be fun. Joining the Star Killers again. I was on a different team last season, so
yeah, that's right.
And I didn't even get to watch the draft. We had a local game night with some of my friends at our Inclusive Ottawa County group, so I like to go support them. They do like a game night once a month, and it's like family friendly, and it's at 5:00, but we get pizza. So I mean, like, there's like a pro to that. So like tonight we played this weird Werewords Harry Potter thing, where it's like Harry Potter, but as werewords, but not really werewords, or maybe werewolf. I guess maybe that's more what it's like. And like, so there's a couple of Death Eaters. I don't know. It's weird. We played that. And then we also played something called Red Flag tonight, which was definitely different. So that was kind of like a dating version of that Cards Against Humanity, but less gross, I guess. So,
nice.
I don't know. So that's what we played. But enough of Tanner's tonight. Let's talk a little bit about Scum reveals. We've got the character on the image for the whole podcast tonight is the one and only Prince Zizor. We've got a new standard loadout Star Viper platform. And I'm going to take this one because I think I was one of the few people that ever played this stupid guy because I didn't know who he was. And like when I got to play extended, like I always like, oh, it's a prince. This sounds really cool. And you Google his image and he's like this green bald guy. He's like, I can see that. That's a Tanner thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. He is, to me, in the original customized pilot, he was the original Phasma before Phasma came out for X-Wing, being able to like essentially force damage to adjacent ships in range. And worked really, really well actually for like salvage missions there. But yeah, we got the new card here, the new standard loadout here. He's still an I4, still has the same base stats. It's got 3 attack, 3 agility, 4 health, and 2 shields, which is essentially the Virago title built into the chassis because normally the Star Vipers only have 1 shield, and it comes with 3 charges. Has a brand new ability, and it says when you perform an attack against a strange ship, you may remove 1 stress token. And then the chassis ability is adaptive micro thrusters. While you perform a barrel roll, you may spend 1 charge to use the bank template instead of the straight template. And then for its action bar, it has a focus, a lock, a barrel linked into red focus, and a boost linked into red focus. For its new its loadouts here, it has a new talent that is called Crime Lord with 2 recurring charges, and it reads: after you defend, if the attacker is in your front arc, you may spend a charge. If you do, the attacker gains 1 strain token. It also comes with Mandalorian Optics. With 2 charges during the system phase, you may spend a charge to acquire lock in an object in your forward arc. While you perform a primary attack, if you have a lock on the defender, ignore obstacles beyond range 0, obstructing the attack. And then it comes with a new Virago title, and it reads: during the system phase, you may perform a red boost or red barrel roll action. Definitely a couple of new changes to this. The Virago title normally allowed you to perform a red boost during the end phase, and now it's moved down to the system phase, which is great because the Virago actually has pretty decent blues on its styles. A lot of the bank maneuvers are blue, so you're able to clear that stress pretty easily. And then for those that might be confused, hey, Prince Caesar is not a Mandalorian. Why does he have Mandalorian optics? The chassis itself, the Star Viper, was created by Mandal Motors, which is a Mandalorian manufacturer. So Prince Caesar in the canonically did have access to Mandalorian upgrades. They went for thematic, the theme here, which gives the chassis Mandalorian optics on there, and that's how he ends up having it here.
So he also still has the micro thrusters, right? Like that's still a thing that he has. That's a thing that we, Guri loved, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit different than the customized chassis. The customized chassis forces you to do the bendy barrel rolls all the time. With this new adaptive micro thrusters, you can choose when you want to do it, which really, with 3 charges, that's pretty average for when it really matters, when you need to do the barrel roll with the Star Viper. So it's not something that you're going to miss out on. I mean, you're still going to have the access to the regular barrel rolls if you don't want to do the bendy one, and especially at the system phase, you're able to really kind of adjust how you want to go, right? Because sometimes doing the bendy barrels kind of puts you in a bad spot where you may not want to go, and having the option to choose which one you want to do really gives it its flexibility. So yeah.
So I will say what I like about it first is I do like the Virago title changing, because it goes away from the 2 charges, right? Because that was only something you could do twice.
Yeah.
So it does move away from that. Mando Optics, that was only 1 charge, or was that always 2 charges?
It was always 2 charges.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's not really changed. And then this Crime Lord thing, I don't know. I personally don't see the Crime Lord as being anything of value. Like, to be perfectly honest with you, like, it's after you defend. If the attacker is in your front arc, you can spend a token, and if you do, the attacker gains a strain token. And like, I guess I get like being able to strain them, because then you can remove your stress, and then you can so essentially you can do a red boost action to begin with, right? And then you can do your barrel roll focus for red stress. Then you can do, I guess it does have a reoccurring charge, so I do like that piece of it. What I don't like is the micro thruster piece where you perform the barrel. You can only do that 3 times to be able to perform bendy barrel rolls. I don't know why you just wouldn't leave it stapled that you can perform bendy barrel rolls, right? Like, just, I don't know. Like, I do not, that part I do not like at all, because that is one of the pieces of the Star Viper I insanely enjoyed. And I'm not the guy that sat in the corner with these, right? Like, that was never me, because I never knew you could do that. But like, to me, like, okay, even if we get like a good game, you're getting 6 rounds at minimum, right? And you could go up to 7 rounds. And so, like, now you're telling me I can only half the game, I can only do a bendy barrel roll. And like, to me, that was the static piece of the Star Viper. And if you're going to tell me this card is going to come in at 5 points, I don't think the Virago title fixes my desire to play this for 5 points. If you tell me this is going to come in at 4 points, all right, now we're talking a little bit more. I would play this for 4 points, because I'm a 3 health, or a 3 agility, 3 attack all the time. And Mando Optics is just nothing but just icing on the cake at that point, right? Crime Lord is icing on the cake. This is trying to reward you for being aggressive, but I do not how about this? I just don't see this as being some like big standout card unless it's going to come in like really cheap.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I mean, I think the value of this really comes down to how much it's going to end up costing in the end. I think that at 5 points, you're comparing this to Guri, you're comparing this over to Finrao, and at that point, you know, it becomes more of a harder sell for you. I mean, yeah, this thing has a pretty good stat line at four hull, 2 shields. But it's still an I4, right? And you're competing against the point value of an I5 and an I6 at that point cost. So points really are what gonna either make or break this particular chassis. So hopefully we'll see this soon. And if it does come in at 4 points, I definitely will put this in here. I mean, you're essentially have a mini Notorious without having Notorious on this with that Crime Lord thing. So you can essentially set up a Notorious trigger without having the ship attack the Notorious carrying ship. And there's definitely a lot of things you could work around with that, especially if you combine that with like tractor abilities with like Ketsu, for instance. Imagine reducing a ship that had 3 agility down to 1 agility with Ketsu. Like there's a lot of potential for that, right? So again, just really depends on where this comes in. But yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, the big to me, the bigger thing is I can run the regular Prince Caesar with Pattern Analyzer and Virago title for 5 points. So if it comes in at 5 points, you're now telling me that this Crime Lord and Mando Optics and the new Virago title are going to be worth it more than anything else. And the problem is you have to be able to perform against a strange ship. So you have to be in the target fire. Okay, and maybe this is more of my big thing is you have to be defending. So that means you have to use a mod. You don't have a way of getting double modded here unless somebody's coordinating you a mod, right? Which, I mean, not saying that can't happen. We get that, but that's like Scum Synergy does not feel that. And maybe we'll see a couple other ships or something that does something for us. But like to me right now, this is telling me you need to be a little bit more aggressive. So like before with Guri, the goal with Guri is to get in tight and then kind of be able to bank out to the side, hit really hard, and then be able to kind of get behind them or to the side of them, so you're taking less shots. That was like the power of Guri back in the day. Prince Zizor could do similar things, but not quite as like good. The difference was they used to have a defensive mod. That was their ability was defensive, and now what you're doing is telling me any strange ship you get to remove a stress token. Well, that's great, but you have to be able to have a strange ship. So if you don't have any way but your Crime Lord to give out a strange ship, that means you'll have to be getting attacked. So you have to be in somebody's firing arc, which means now you're not going to be able to mod your shot because you're probably going to have to use it on defense. And that, again, you tell me this ship comes in at 4 points, I'll run this ship. Like I said, I don't get to run it for XWA, but or for Nickel City, but like this is a ship I would run for 4 points. For 5 points, I don't see this ever getting play personally. Myself, I could run Guri for 5 points.
I would like to point out another just interaction here between the Virago title and Mando Optics. You can choose the order in which you want to perform this, right? So you can essentially still do a red barrel roll action and then do the Mando Optics at that point. So sometimes that might help you if you're getting kind of get you into position to get that lock and then clear the stress with like a 1 bank or 1 straight or something. So there is some potential there for you to have some double mons on there. And if you park in front of Virago and you're not stressed, you can use the Virago title to bendy barrel around the obstacle. And if you have a lock on the ship that you're going to shoot through the obstacle, you ignore the obstacle attack. But if they shoot back at you, you still get the bonus.
Sure. So, what this feels like is too many special things you want to get to you're what you're telling me is like the ideal phase, and I don't feel that that's going to be something we see, but we'll see. Again, 4 points, you got me sold. So
all right.
The next one we have is Bosk in the YV666 light freight carrier, I guess, right? So this one we have the 3 like 270 arc attack, same thing that they always have, 1 agility, 9 hull, 3 shields. While you perform an attack after the neutralize step, you may spend a crit and neutralize it to 2 hits. So that's typical boss. They do have this new thing called Imposing Behemoth. While an enemy ship at range 0 defends, if you are reinforced and the defender is in your front or back arc with your reinforced token, that enemy ship rolls 1 fewer defense styles.
Defense die.
Defense die. Sorry. We have a new crew called Embo. At the start of engagement, if there is an enemy ship at range 0, you may perform a red reinforce action. We also have Contraband Cybernetics, which we know what that is. And then we have the Houndstooth title, which is definitely different. This one is while you perform an attack, if you are reinforced and the defender is in your front arc or back arc, basically the matching arc of your reinforced token, you may change one of your eyeball results to a hit result. If the defender is stressed, you could change one of it to a crit instead. Now, I do not like this at all. Like, I'll just be frank. I think this is trash. But what I will say is I think the new title really does befit. Like, the new title, I like, right? The new title, obviously, they had to do something different because you're not docking a ship, right? Unless you're going to force us to take that other ship, which I'm not saying, like, that could have been an okay, like, thing. You do have Contraband, which is nice as a built-in thing. But I can't load Bosk up with a bunch of party members anymore. I don't have my 2 to 3 crew slots, right? Or my gunner slot. I don't have any of this stuff. I don't have my BT1. I don't get my Dengar. I don't get any of that stuff. And so the probability of me getting a crit has to rely solely on my token. Now, what you're telling me is that I can, at the start of engagement, if I have an enemy ship at range 0, I could take a red reinforced token. So once I get into the mix, I could go 1-4. I could take my red reinforce, go 1 forward, clear my stress, right? And then be able to take a stressful focus action. But I only get to do that once. Like, I then have to spend my Contraband Cybernetics. So I don't have like a good way of getting rid of stress if I get blocked. Like, if I'm not blocked, okay, hey, fine. But the problem I have with this ship, that I've always had with this ship, is this ship has 0 maneuverability for turnaround maneuvers. This ship has to encroach slowly and then do 2-3 hards to get around the board. And like, is this going to be better than running Dr. Afra, right? I don't know. Dr. Afra's one less initiative than this. I don't think Imposing Behemoth is worth anything. Like basically you're saying I have to put my Bosk in the center of things to not use any of the other crap you give me except for my 1 Contraband Cybernetic. Right? Like I get one time where I'm going to essentially be able to have a reinforce and a focus token, and be able to do anything other than just move 1 forward. And so I don't like. I would have rather seen what's the upgrade? What is the upgrade that you can get where is a tactical scrambler? There you go.
Or you can provide a defensive bonus to your friendlies so that they're shooting through them.
Yes. So like I would rather just actually that would have been a better upgrade that like to have on here than this Imposing Behemoth. Just make that like a standard thing for him. Like at least at that point, then I have a reason to stay still. And I've only got 3 shields. So what happens when you kill my 3 shields? I'm just taking crit after crit after crit. I've got 1 agility, man. Like I don't know. They didn't upgrade the bar, right? The bar is
still the same.
So there's like I'm not getting a focus into reinforce or a target lock into reinforce. Like if these were like the SF where I had 2 actions as a white, I would consider this. Again, if you give me the ship at 4 points, then then I would absolutely just play the ship. But you're never going to give me the ship at 4 points. It's going to come in at 6, and I'm never going to take this ship personally.
All right,
it's a moral evolve for Christ's sake for 6 points.
So this is where we hard disagree, right? Because I think this is actually a very, very viable version of Boss Gear. So number 1, the first thing is Imposing Behemoth. This essentially is a intimidation on a large base that you're getting, which currently right now in the XWA, only a small base ship or medium base ship can run intimidation. So it's not only when Boss is attacking, it's for whenever that ship that Bosk is touching that's in that reinforced arc is defending. So that could be, shots that are coming in from like Fen Rao or for anybody else, and it's touching Bosk in that arc there. So that is huge. The other part of it too is that you'll have perfect information every single time, because Bosk, whenever he moves, assuming that he fully execute his maneuver, you can focus, you can take a target lock on whoever you think is not going to end up touching you. And then after that's done, if you have a ship that ends up bumping you, then you get to choose a red reinforce action. So you get to put it exactly where you need it to be in order to trigger imposing behemoth every single time at that point.
So,
Don't think
hold
somebody's
on.
going to touch you.
Well, let's go back to playing Bosk. I don't know if you've ever played Bosk before. I have.
Yeah. I've played Boss before,
Yeah.
and I know we're talking about the turns when he starts coming into the scrum, right?
You
Into chase.
It's one turn, JJ, and then you have to turn around.
But that's all it takes.
No.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
You're telling me that okay? I'm sorry.
If you're playing assault, it's going to be more than one turn. I guarantee that.
It's not no. It's not going to be more than one turn that you get to move and take an action that you want to take without bumping. You're going to get the turn you come in, and then the turn you block people. That's it. Then you're done. You're there. Especially on assault when you can hit 2 objectives. You sure as hell are not going to go anywhere else.
Okay. But even if you, all right, let's say you've already, you're at that point, right, where you're blocked, right? You don't have to take an action at that point. You don't have to take a red focus, because if another ship ends up touching you, you can still take Embo. Right, you can still take that red reinforce at the start of the engagement phase with perfect information.
You can't. Not if you bump and take a red focus. You can't.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to take the red focus. You could just choose not to take the action and not take it. Yeah, no, but here, listen to me out. I'm not done yet.
And now I can't mod anything. Now I'm just sitting here.
That's not true. Hang on. Because if they end up bumping you, then you have Houndstooth, right? You take the red reinforce, and now you have the ability to mod your shots, right? You can still change
not the people in front, not the people touching you. You can only shoot other things.
You're right, but the bonus is for you to take the red reinforce on a bump after somebody else bumps you. If you fully execute the maneuver and you decide to take a white reinforce, you're still going to get the Houndstooth's ability regardless, right?
Where's Tecumseh? I want Tecumseh here. That's what I want. Me and Tecumseh, I'm wagering Tecumseh's unless you give me to this at 5 points or maybe 4. Tecumseh's like, I get your point. Like, I get the point of, well, if you are reinforced. So, okay. The problem with the reinforced though, too, right, is if you have a half ship, if that thing is a little bit over, and like, again, on the table, this is insanely BS and hard. I hate that rule. I cannot stand the reinforce rule as like in person. On TTS is great, right? Like on TTS, I have no issues with it because it does all the work for me. It does all the maths. I don't have to do anything. I have to argue with people when we do it in person. But if you're not fully in that arc, right, you don't get that reinforced. So if they have like a nub over, you're just like out of luck then. It's just, you're done. And so like, again, we talk about escalating probabilities. Like before, Bosk had the ability to be able to take all this stuff, right? Like I could put on here Greedo, right? Greedo was a great thing because whatever, you're gonna take crits and die anyway. I could put Greedo. Who else did we used to put on there? I don't know. Now you're asking me to remember things I don't remember. Like, yeah, but yeah. I know you put Greedo and BT1 were like,
yeah, Greedo, BT1, yeah.
Were like one of the two of those almost was a staple on Bosk. And my problem is that what you're trying to do is give me the same thing. I could split my results so that I can hit harder. Like that's the idea. Like if you come in and I could shoot you at range 1, I'm throwing 4 dice. I can split my crit and essentially hit you for 5. It's great. Super awesome probability. You have the way with the Houndstooth to be able to guarantee that you get that. But the problem is if they're not stressed, you don't get to do it. You have no stressing mechanic for them. Why not at least give me something on here where it says I can then stress my opponent? So now I'm relying on all these other ships to do it. And now the probability ratio, if we talk about actual probability ratio, is just going to go up through the ceiling. So like out of all of the releases we got, this is the one I hate the most, unless you give me this for 4 points, maybe 5. 5 I would consider. I would genuinely consider this at 5 just because of the big body base. But if this is 6 points, I will never. I don't see this at 6 points ever. ever seen play when I could take unless they're going to kill the regular boss loadout. I could take again. I could take Afra. I could take Afra and stress people. Like at least, why give me a stress mechanic on here? You know, like I don't know. It just doesn't feel the party bus feels like it's dead to me in this format. And again, unless you're going to give it to me, really, I don't see this. I don't see this as a very good ship personally.
I know you're used to playing red Bosk and Embo's a blue, so just give blue Bosk.
Well,
Give
then I
blue
would
Bosk
get
a chance.
I did give Blue Bosk a chance. I did. I ran Blue Bosk and Swoo at multiple tournaments. I love Blue Bosk. This is not Blue Bosk though. Blue Bosk would mean I would be able to take all of your tokens and throw them across the room. and then when you would coordinate to give that ship another token, I would give you the middle finger and pick your token up and throw that one across the room. That's what Blue Bosk does. It doesn't want to play the game. It just says, no, hold on. All right, well, that's the whole Swoo thing. I don't know.
All right, let's go on to
let's move on because
yeah.
We'll see. You get me Charlie. Where's Charlie? Let's get his take, and then we'll you bring him on and see if he can convince me different. So.
All right, so the next card we got here is Cad Bane in the Rogue class Starfighter here. So he makes a new appearance here in the SL format, coming in with the same stats for the Rogue class with 2 attack, 2 evade, 5 hull, 2 shields, and 2 charges. And it comes with the same ability. After you perform an attack that hits, you may spend 2 charges to transfer one of your non-lock red or orange tokens to the defender. It has the chassis ability that's a right. So while you perform an attack, if the defender's in your bullseye, defense dice cannot be modified using green tokens. And then it comes with a new cannon in here. We got the Flechette cannons making its return from the 1.0 format, although it's brand new in this one here. And it reads, attack. After this attack hits, if the defender is in your bullseye, the defender gains 1 strain token. And then you have a new crew in Toto 360 with 2 charges. And it reads, during the system phase, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, you may remove 1 stress token and gain 1 strain token and 1 calculate token. So this is kind of a better contraband cybernetics for this one. And then we have the title Xanadu Blood. After you decloak, choose an enemy ship in your bullseye. If you do, that ship gains 1 strain token. And then in the action bar is modified a bit. It has focus linked into red boost, focus linked into red barrel roll, and evade linked into red barrel roll, a target lock action, and a red cloak action, which normally would have come from the title Xanadu Blood, but now it's just baked into the chassis here. I like this version of Cad Bane. It's different from the one that I'm used to. I love the Cad Bane with sync lasers and proton rockets. I think it's absolutely great in terms of like just sheer attack power. But this is a nice compromise. This is a lot more flexible. Toto 360 really being able to open up the dial for Cad Bane on those turns where it needs to turn around can be really great. And even with the Flechette cannons, if you're able to get that bullseye lined up, which is not very hard on an I4, especially if you're targeting other I4s or lower, you can use that dead to rights to prevent tokens from being spent, and then you're applying a strain. And if you're likely stressed, you're also stressing out that ship too. So passing off a stress and strain to a defender can be really, really strong. And then you have Toto 360, which in case you end up getting stressed or strained, you can remove it, gain a calculate token, and likely just remove the strain with a blue maneuver after the system phase. So yeah, definitely a lot of great toys for this particular Cad Bane. It's a lot less offensive than the custom versions, but it has different toys on here. It feels a lot more scummier.
So I will, if this comes in at 3 points, I'm golden. He comes in at 4 points, throw it in the trash. I don't like this one either. Like I do like the Flechette cannons. Like I think that's kind of a cool concept, to be honest with you. Like I do like that. If you're in the bullseye, you have the defender gets a strain. I do like that. That does try to interact a little bit with Prince Caesar. So it's trying. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make you fly Bosk, Cad, and Prince Caesar all together as an I4 list. Not buying it when I can. How am I gonna fit Fen in here? Like I don't know. Like I'm not buying that piece of it, and I don't have a coordinator, right? So like are you going to give me Gamut Key back? Or are you going to give me, do I get Kanan back? You know what? Give me Kanan back super cheap and let me use Kanan's abilities like crazy with this, and maybe we could talk. But I don't foresee them doing that personally. I think Kanan was a menace before. I don't think we're gonna get Kanan back.
Yeah, Kanan was a bit problematic in Scum for sure.
Yeah. So what this is telling me is that you no longer can have sync laser cannons.
I mean, you don't need it. Full stretch cannons is the same.
Kind of.
It's a 3 attack at 2 to 3.
Sure, but it doesn't interact with my Todd 360. Like my Todd 360 would benefit my sync laser cannon like instantaneously because I'm getting a calculate token.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
You don't get that. The Xanadu Blood title, I will say, is probably better, I guess. Like better, except for now it's not giving me payload or the crew slot, which I don't really care that much about on it. I don't like that we don't just like get some of what like we get in CIS. I will tell you that like I don't, again, for 4 points I could take Prockets or Proton Cannons, and now I've got 5 dice shot. Proton Cannons is great because that's every other turn is a 4 dice shot. Proton Cannons lets me be able to set up the ability. This is also not giving me the ability to double mod anymore. It does give me the reposition, but guess what I don't have? I don't have Contraband Cybernetics. Why don't I have Contraband Cybernetics in here? Like, build it into the Xanadu title, for Christ's sake. Like, I don't know.
Toto 360 is better than Contraband because you get to do that before you move. So you essentially remove the stress, still take a 4K, and have a calculate token on top of that. So arguably this is better because you can do it twice a game. Contraband is only once.
Except for Contraband lets me do my focus boost, target lock, whatever I want. I could do a cloak to action if I want. It's inconsequential. Like I can't do that with the 4K. I can't 4K into a cloak. Contraband Cybernetics I can. I can't do that here. Period. The power that CAD had before was the fact that I would be able to have my proton cannons. I would be able to find the lower like ships predictability. I would be able to get in there, do my BS with my proton cannons, and then be able to turn around and shoot something at range 1 typically that next turn, or get away if I'm in like focus fire. So while I don't think this is that Bosk level of trash, like for the points that they're going to give it to us at, like if this is more than 4 points, it is worse than Bosk. If this is at 4 points, it will be, I will tell you, it'll be a little bit, this is a little bit more user friendly, I think, of a ship than the original one is, right? But at the same token, I can take my I could take my sync laser cannon and I could take my contraband cybernetics, right? And I still have 4 points left to do whatever I want with. Like I could then take overtuned modulators if I really want. I don't know why I would do that, but I could do that. I could take a bomb, which was really important before. I could take I don't know, what were we putting Chewbacca? It wasn't Chewbacca. I don't remember who we were putting on.
Yeah, a couple of versions had like Kira and Marsh Stable Closure, or
Cutthroat, or I could put Fearless on him so that he was more potent after I got my did my turnaround. Like, yeah, so there you go. I could put Fearless, Sync Laser Cannon, and Contraband on, and I still have a point left. Or I could drop down the proton cannons if I really want to, and now when my Fearless, now after I, shoot my proton cannons, I could just kind of bank in, clear my stress, do my Fearless BS, and be able to hit them almost as hard. And then the next turn I've got my proton cannons again. So I don't know. It's different. I will give you that. I do not believe Todd 360 is better than Contraband in any way, shape, or form, though. At all. I do think it's an alternative to it, but I don't have anything to use my calculate for. And I have to take a strain token. I don't know. There's a lot of downsides to that. I don't know. They're relying on the fact that you're going to be able to get them and hit and actually have your attack hit so you could transfer the stuff off. That's what they're hoping for. But at an I4, I don't know. Like, this is not, there's no, like, aces are going to eat this Cad Bane alive, right? Like, and that's what we've seen. In my opinion, that's what we've seen typically happening is Cad Bane gets eaten alive by like a larger ace list against a lower initiative list in like CIS or something like that. Cad Bane is great, and Cad Bane used to be like a lone. You could put Lone Wolf on him too, right? Like that was the other thing you could put on him. You no longer can put Lone Wolf on him. I could run Proton Cannons, Lone Wolf, Contraband, and I don't know, something BS, Dead Man Switch. I guess
Advanced switch.
I don't remember what the last 2 points used to go to, but you'd run Electronic Baffle, I guess. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion. If this comes in at 4 points, I think it's a nice alternative for newer players. I don't see this being better than the regular Cad Bane that I have personally. So
Yeah, for me, I think this it shares. It's an alternate version. You know, it's not the more aggressive version that you can make out of the custom Cad Bane. When it comes to that, you know, the custom Cad Bane is just simply better for the points. But with this particular version, it does fit other play styles. It solely comes down to how you prefer to run Cad Bane. So it is an alternate version to have. I think if Cad Bane's points still stay the same, the custom Cad Bane, it probably will still see more play than this particular SL version. But again, just comes down to what your preference is for your style of play for the Cad Bane. So yeah, definitely.
And like I said, I mean, obviously they're going for something synergistic with the three that we've revealed so far, right? Like, so there's obviously a synergy piece to that. So if they give the low enough points, you could run all three of those plus two other ships. There might be something there in the combination, but then it feels like now you just curated a list for me, and that's not X-Wing. So, I don't know. Good job, AMG, I guess, if that's the case. So, let's move on to the last one. We got the last one, right? Bo-Katan. I think that's the last one. This is a new pilot for Scum.
Yeah. Well, it's in the Gauntlet Fighter. It is new for
Scum though.
For Scum, yeah.
Yes.
And this was just revealed hot out of the press from the NCX draft. This was revealed in the middle after the first round. So yeah, just hot off the press.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you just off the bat, I already like this ship just because it's already got Veteran Tail Gunner built into it. I don't even have to think about it. So this is Bo-Katan. She's most wanted for some reason. I don't know who she pissed off this time, but she's in the Gauntlet Fighter with the 3 attack out the front, the 2 out the back, 2 agility, 9 health, 2 shields, which I believe that was the standard before. Yep. And then they have 2 charges. So while you perform an attack, if you are at range 0 to 1 of the defender, you may re-roll 1 die. So I like that. That's just a cool ability just to have for a knife fighter. She then has something called Winged Reversal. After you reveal a hard turn maneuver, you may spend 1 of your charges to gain a string token and increases difficulty. If you do perform this maneuver as a Talon roll instead, which, all right, I'm going to say that's pretty cool because we do not have a turn on maneuver on a gauntlet. I have to see this on the table first before I give it praise. But so far, that looks pretty cool. I like that. That is a cool design that we have not kind of seen before. And giving this ship, where's this in boss? Why can't my YV666 have a turnaround maneuver?
And needs more wings.
Like a U-wing stop or something like that, like the U-wings. Anyway, so it also has Mandalorian tactics. So while you defend, if there is at least 1 enemy ship at range 0, you may re-roll 1 of your blank results. I love that. That's a mini heroic talent. They also have this thing called Night Owl Sentries, which has 3 charges and it reoccurs 1 a turn. So you can do this every 3 turns. During the system phase, you may spend 3 charges. At the end of the activation phase, if you have no active charges, each enemy ship at range 0 to 1 of you rolls 1 attack die and either takes a hit or a crit and suffers a crit or suffers a hit result. So you have a 50% chance, no more than a 50% chance, right? It's a 50% chance. You have a 50% chance of them hitting, like taking an extra damage. I think that's a cool design space. And then of course you have Veteran Tail Gunner, which I absolutely love. Your bar didn't change; it's still the focus. Target lock, reinforce, and the coordinate. I'm not sold on this ship ever coordinating ever in its life, especially this ship. But
You're not Maul.
yeah, exactly. And I will say I'm a little disappointed I don't get Mando Optics on here. I would have liked to have Mando Optics on here as well, especially because she's a Mandalorian. If this comes in at 6 points, I think this is a conversation piece at an I4. She is. I think this is a little bit better, in my opinion, than Rook for the pure fact that she could turn around. Because that's one of the largest arguments I've always had with the ship is I can do my hards, but if a 3 hard is red, right? So it's just like immediately red. So I can't do a 3 talent, but I sure as heck can do a 2 talent. So he said, I don't know why they didn't just put on there you could do a 2 talent because that's all you can do. And like I would have been happy if they actually had put Contraband on here as well, so that you could do 1 3 talent. That would be really cool. But whatever. So basically, this ship gets 2 talents, and that's just really cool. That's a cool design space we've not seen before.
You can still do the hard 3 talent roll because you can still you're not increasing your difficulty higher than red at this point. It's the same interaction with like is it? Damage engine, right? If you had like a hard red 3 and you take a damage engine, it doesn't go into like purple, right? It's still a hard red 3. So you can still do the wing removal at a 3 hard and do a talent roll that way still with this ability.
Yep. And so basically, as long as you don't bump, you could turn this stupid ship around.
Yes.
This is, to me, this ship is an amazing design. I did not know that. I guess I did not know that about the you can still perform the red talent roll. So that's even better. So you can still perform a 2 or a 3 talent. And you have this ship. Again, I think Mando Optics would have made this ship chef's kiss. Yeah. But for 6 points, I will play this ship. I would test the hell out of the ship. I think just the wing reversal versus having the swivel ring. Like, I get swivel wing is cool. I like talent rolls so much better. And this will mess with your opponent, period. Like, this is a opponent messing. Like, so people are going to have to get used to that shit, right? I like this. I think this ship is awesome. Actually, I think this is the best one that we've seen out of Scum. There you go. I'm going to say it. Yeah. I'm going to say it right here. This is my favorite. Oops, I just bumped my camera.
Yeah, I really like this a lot. I love that they gave her crew ability from CIS. She was a crew that I used to use all the time with the Gauntlet. You're a large base. You're pretty reliably going to end up getting a lot of range 0 attacks with people bumping into you. So having the option of having that reroll at range 0 and also having Night Owl sentries to punch in extra damage on there. And having a defensive reroll as well, it's really good. It's a ship that wants to get in the way, start blocking stuff. I think this is going to be a ship that's going to see a lot of play, especially on Assault for Scum. This is going to be really good. Yeah,
I would hesitate to say I would test this at 7 as well. Like at 7, I'm a little bit more hesitant to play this, but I would actually test this at 7 just because of the fact that it can turn around. Sometimes you can coordinate to it beforehand. Like, so I'm not like super down on even it being at 7. I prefer 6 points, but at 7 points, I think we can still look at how this can play, because if this is still better than Han, it has less BS that you have to get off compared to Han, I like this ship just automatically better than that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those were the reveals. You got our dissenting opinions. We still, Tecumseh owes us an opinion on Boss. After this, I'm messaging him and sending him a private video of this just so he can have it first before anybody else gets it. But what I want to know is, like, what are your thoughts on it? So if you're watching this, you want to throw thoughts, throw a comment right into our chat. I promise one of us will try to get to it very shortly. Unless you just say, hey, thanks for the video. I don't always reply to those. I do appreciate those, so don't stop doing them. I love it when people do that. I don't always reply to those right away. Sometimes, I mean, with the amount of videos we're trying to put out right now, sometimes it's hard to hit every single comment on the videos. But tell us what you think of these ships. Tell us where Tanner's wrong, or tell us where JJ's wrong. Maybe we'll throw a little pool together. JJ has to buy Tanner, I don't know, like, maybe Lions merch or something like that this season, which is going to cost a lot more than his Giants merch is going to cost. Like, I bet Giants hats will be $10 this time around. I'll be like, oh, hey, look, here's a $10 hat for you, JJ. Maybe I'll get you a fancy fitted hat for $15, whereas the Lions are going to be like $50. So,
All right, that sounds cool. Yeah.
And anyways, so tell us your thoughts on it. I am excited to see Scum standard loadout, though. I am a little disappointed in it compared to the Resistance. I feel the Resistance gave me a reason to be happier than the Scum does, but we'll see. You never know what gets put on the table. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good night, everybody.